All right, welcome again. God also wants us to remember what he has done for us. In Exodus 13:3, we read, "And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which you came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage, for by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from Egypt." The celebration of the Passover was to remind them annually, forever, of their deliverance from Egypt. They were not to fear the enemies that God had defeated for them, but they were to remember his deliverance instead. Likewise, we're to remember his deliverance of us from sin. We're to remember God's guidance and protection. Deuteronomy 8:2 says, "Thou shalt remember the way which the Lord thy God led thee in the years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, and to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no." So the wilderness journey was to prove whether or not they would serve the Lord. Though it was a time of testing, God provided for their every need. He wanted them to remember how he cared for them even in the wilderness. Well, he wants us to remember how he cared for us in our wilderness times too. He wants us to remember his provision. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is he that gives thee the power to obtain wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he swore unto thy fathers, as it is this day." God doesn't want us to be without our necessities. He has set in his word his laws for financial success and prosperity. All we have to do is follow them and obey. He has promised to bless us according to the measure that we set. So if we're really generous, he's going to be generous in those blessings. If we're really stingy, then he'll be stingy in those blessings. We're the ones that set the yardstick. As the verse says, he has given us the power to obtain wealth. It's all in our hands and how we handle the laws he's given us. Remember those coincidences where money came in from unexpected source just when you needed it? That's God doing a miracle so that you can get what you need out of life. Thank God for those times. That's him in active work and showing that he loves you. We're also supposed to have memorial days before God. Exodus 12:14 says, "This day shall be unto you a memorial, and you shall keep it as a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever." How long is forever? Forever is forever. Are we still keeping the feast of the Lord? Not in the church, at least not mostly. I think that we have really missed the boat on that one, and God has withheld some of the blessings from the church today because we've been disobedient in this area. Exodus 12:17 says, "Ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in the selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day your generations as an ordinance forever." There's that forever word again. The feast of unleavened bread was symbolic when he delivered them from Egypt. Egypt is symbolic of the world and of sin, and he delivered them from that sinful nation. Well, Jesus was buried on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, having died on Passover. He is buried on unleavened bread, and he took the sins of the world upon himself so that when he resurrected, we might obtain eternal life. So there are important reasons to remember these. So God's appointed feast days are all memorial days. These are appointed times in which God made an appointment with man to fulfill a specific part of his purpose. In fact, significant things happened with Jesus during his final incarnation, or his first incarnation, and other things will be fulfilled during and after his return. These feast days will be kept as a memorial forever, according to the scriptures. As I said earlier, he died on Passover, he is buried on unleavened bread, and then he rose on first fruit day. 50 days later, he sent the Holy Spirit on the day of Pentecost to indwell with us, and he'll be coming back again. The Feast of Trumpets is symbolic of that in Ephesians when it says at the last trump he'll return the last trump is an actual trumpet blast on the Feast of Trumpets. Then he'll judge the world on the Day of Atonement, and the judgment will be whether or not we have accepted his atoning blood sacrifice for us. And if we have, we get to celebrate and go into heaven for eternity. And if we haven't, we're to go to hell. So that'll happen on the Day of Atonement. And then we have finally the Feast of Tabernacles, in which he agrees to tabernacle or to live with us, to dwell with us forever. And so these, again, are important memorial days that God has given to us, and he wants us to remember them as a statute, as an ordinance forever. So I think, again, we're missing the boat if we're not doing that. Okay, so our next song is called Remember Me, and in this song, God is reminding us of just who he is and what he has done for us, and he begs us to remember him.